What purpose does the gentleman from Ohio rise?
Good morning, Madam Speaker. I request permission to address the House for 1 minute.
Without objection.
Wake up, America. WikiLeaks' release of secret war documents gave us 92,000 reasons to end the wars. Pick one. Wake up, America. Main Street is falling apart. Businesses have closed. Bankruptcies abound. People are losing their jobs, their homes, losing their retirement security. The middle class is falling apart. Workers' rights are not being protected. The government's out of money. There's not even money for childhood nutrition. Wake up, America. There's unlimited money for war. Money for corrupt government in Afghanistan. When U.S. money is not going to the Karzai mob's personal use, it goes to help the Taliban kill our troops. There's money for a corrupt government in Pakistan, which helps the Taliban in Afghanistan kill our troops. Meanwhile, our troops are committing suicide in record numbers. Wake up, America. How can we solve the world's problems if we can't solve our own problems here at home?
For what purpose does the gentleman...
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. We now stand 10 years past the midpoint of a century that has witnessed 4 major wars among great nations. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our societies. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
There is now hard evidence that the iconic poster showing American confidence back in another era is in fact no longer true. The American standard of living has fallen badly and is no longer the source of pride it once was. To quote the Christian Science Monitor today, the standard of living for Americans has fallen longer and more steeply over the last 3 years than at any time since the U.S. government began recording it 5 decades ago. In plain English, it's confirmation life isn't as good as it used to be in this country. Income for most people is down, so is net worth, say nothing of housing, and of course it's all been devastating to the great American middle class.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
And there's a new report tonight that about $60 billion in taxpayer money has been lost to waste and fraud in Iraq and Afghanistan over the past decade of war. This is according to an independent panel that reports to Congress. It blames lax oversight or outside contractors, poor planning, and corruption for these huge losses. It's money that would be nice to have for a lot of things to talk about.
I've been waiting all night long to sing this song. Is it all right if I sing it, Jackson? Is it all right if I sing it? Well, I feel pretty good tonight. Oh, glory to God. Let me just say this. Oh, shit. I was walking downtown one day and I saw a man who appeared to be just an old widow sitting on the street telling the people about Jesus as they passed by. And just because he was all ragged and dirty, a lot of people would just laugh and make fun of their old man and walk on by. Oh, I wish I had somebody to pray with me here tonight. And he said, just because of the way I am, no money, no fancy clothes, no fine homes and cars, a lot of people consider me as nothing and say I don't know what I'm talking about. But you know what? That's one thing that he said that really touched my heart tonight. Woo! I wish I had somebody to pray with me. One thing that he said that stayed on my mind. When that old man looked up and said, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. Oh, I wish I had somebody to pray with me. Just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. He said, I've had so many problems in my life that I just couldn't deal with. So I started drinking, thought it would help ease my pain. But things got worse. So he said, Lord, here I am. And that's when my life began to change. But these people think I'm just a nobody. I never felt that kind to tell everybody. I never felt like that about somebody who can save anybody. Yeah, just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. And he said, on the streets day and night, that's my life, that's my home. Ain't got nowhere else I can go. So I just walk the streets, telling the people about Jesus from corner to corner.